On this second March episode of Outlook TV, coronating a new Emperor and Empress of Vancouver.
Vancouver Furry Convention.
Main Street's Drag Ball. And much, much more.
Welcome to Outlook TV. I'm Rebecca Wyman.
And I'm Dan Doomshaw. Outlook TV is our queer news magazine show that brings you queer stories from coast to coast that matter the most.
And we're going to kick it off with the Coronation Ball here in Vancouver.
That's right. A new Empress and Emperor will be crowned to reign over Vancouver for another year. And Angus Pratt brings us all the coverage.
We're about to have one of Vancouver's most glamorous nights of the year, the Coronation Ball at Celebrities Nightclub in Davie Village. This is going to be glitzy and glamorous, and let's go check it out.
Well, it's Coronation 44, so it's our 44th annual Coronation Ball here in Vancouver, the Mother Court of Canada.
See the pyramids along the night. Watch the stars on the dropping sky. Just remember, darling, all the while you belong to me.
Well, this year we had Kiki and JJ Aviation as our Emperor and Empress. They tried to bring into a lot of the new people into our community, into the DMS. So they brought in a lot of extra things, shows at the bars, but we did barbecues, picnics in the park with the baseball teams, things like that, so to bring in new people. We also included the East Van group from the Cobalt. So tonight we have Eileen Val here, who is Miss Cobalt, and we also have Jane Smoker, who is our entertainer this year.
I'm performing Lady Gaga's Oscar medley of The Sound of Music. So hopefully I'll do half as good as she did.
I'm glad now that it's in a club downtown where people can come on Davie Street. We used to go to Commodore Ballrooms. It was the best place, amazing. It was sold out in the 80s, 90s. And after that, you know, they changed owner, they closed, and they reopened, and it's not happening there anymore. But there used to be amazing balls. And I hope now that it's getting back together again. So, you know, people that are not into, you know, the whole drag scene discover it and come back and support like it used to be. Sold out like over 1,000 people.
You're here for the Coronation Ball?
Yeah.
I forgot my flask, but oh well.
Oh, too bad.
I'm just here for the balls.
I have to pay retail.
Oh,
I'm celebrating my 30th anniversary as the 14th Empress of Vancouver, British Columbia. We actually are crowning number 44 tonight. So 30 years ago, I was the Empress here in town.
Traveled as far as I can go, went all the way to San Diego, did San Francisco, you know, tried to be out there as much as I could.
We have people from Las Vegas, Seattle, Winnipeg, Calgary, Edmonton, Surrey. Where else?
We have Everett, we have Eugene, we have Tacoma, we have Reno.
You know.
Assembled here before you are your fellow monarchs.
They're the original robes of the Emperor and Empresses of Vancouver, and I have redone them and embroidered and beaded them all. So we're unveiling them tonight.
The rules, regulations, and bylaws of the society under which you will serve.
Ladies and gentlemen, rise and greet your people.
Their Most Imperial and Sovereign Majesties, the 44th elected Emperor and Empress of Vancouver and all of British Columbia, Eric Royale and Bebeco Taylor.
In our next story, Carol Delinko takes us to the Loud Awards.
This is very exciting because some youth are going to win big scholarships.
I'm Carol Delinko with Outlook TV, and we are at the Loud Business Expo and Luncheon, and there are a number of businesses here promoting services and products to the community. We are really excited that the West Ender has sponsored this event, and we are really proud to be here and supporting Outlook TV. Come on in.
We got a great membership of several hundred from business groups, from self-employed, and from community groups too.
And I said to Gina, I wish there was an organisation like this for the gay community. And she said, but there is!
People get involved with Loud in order to meet and to network, and that's really our reason for being.
West End Arts Organisation is basically a community group. We've come together to be the voice of the arts in the West End. We have the largest number of arts and culture professionals in the city, and yet the visibility of art in the neighbourhood is very limited. There is one mural outside the West End Community Centre on Denman Street called What a Ride. It was made by our friend and artist Steve, the creative individual.
The Loud Foundation is a registered charity, so people can donate on our website. We take checks, we take cash, and we issue charitable tax receipts. We grant scholarships to queer youth and allies throughout the province of BC, and this year we did really well in reaching out into the far corners.
We had a certain amount of scholarships to give out, and there was one more person we really wanted to be able to provide a scholarship for, and I couldn't let the opportunity go by without being able to provide her something. So I thought, you know what, I will provide the scholarship this year and hopefully every year for it. It'll be more of a community scholarship for exactly that, to be building community.
How many of you believe that marketing is important? Oh, there we go. All right. All right, so essentially what I'm here to do is talk to you about the West Ender and advertising, specifically right now the Loud Business Directory.
The West Ender being a member of Loud, it's really important just as far as getting our name out there, getting people to recognize that we are that print voice for everybody in the community. You get to come to amazing events like this, you get to go to drinks, we do mingles, things like that. Really interesting just to know as a voice of the community, knowing who's in the community, who those businesses are. It's really important. It's really exciting is actually the growth of the Loud Pink pages. Lots of people signing up, lots of people coming in, joining the community, supporting the businesses within the community, which is really exciting.
I'm Carol Delinko for Outlook TV at the Loud Business Luncheon and Expo. If you're not a member, join Loud today. You're going to want to be a part of this. Thanks so much for watching. We'll see you next time on Outlook TV.
It's time for us to take a little break now.
We will be back with more queer stories.
Hi, this is Empress 14, Christopher Peterson, and you're watching Outlook TV.
Welcome back. You're watching Outlook TV.
As this week was International Women's Day, we'd like to wish all those who identify as women a happy International Women's Day. Rebecca?
And?
Fred Camperman, our executive community producer, will now bring us the gay agenda and his take on International Women's Day, where we assert that women deserve fair stage time and their right to be center stage.
Thank you for that, Rebecca. It wasn't so long ago that the LGBTQ had no rights whatsoever. And in fact, in 1973, being gay was finally declassified as a mental disorder. Before that, you could have been put in a mental hospital. So, of course, people were far in the closet. Otherwise, you could have been refused employment or be fired, and teachers and coaches couldn't be gay because of the fear that their lifestyle would turn children to be gay. Depending on what study you look at, the LGBTQ community was only 10% of the population. But with our small numbers, we have come a long way since 1973. We now have the rights and protections of our straight counterparts. And in 2005, we even got same-sex marriage and adoption. But how did the LGBTQ get the rights so quick and so far in such a short time, say, compared to the women's rights movement? Well, allies. The LGBTQ movement would for equality would not have gotten anywhere if it weren't for our allies, straight men and women supporting our small 10%. Of those allies, women represented about at least 50%. When you compare the two movements, the LGBTQ rights with 10% of the population compared to the women's rights with 50% of the population, you can see that women have been fighting for a long time for equality. In 1920, the suffragettes finally got the right to vote for women. And in Switzerland, women were finally given the right to vote in 1971. When you compare the two movements for equality, the LGBTQ seem to have achieved a lot more in a shorter time frame. But women still have a long way to fight for equality. Not just around the world, in places like Saudi Arabia, where it's against the law for women to drive, but here at home. Let's look at some equality percentages. Women on average make 20% less than men. That's 82 cents to the $1 that a man makes. Women are at a higher rate of being discriminated against, and they definitely hit the glass ceiling. Only 15% of women are in top management positions, and only 20% of the House of Commons are women. Sure, we have 2 female premiers, one who's an openly out lesbian, but there is still nowhere near the 50% mark in businesses and politics reflected in the 50% of the population. Women are not the minority, but they are the minority in most fields. Law schools in the US have 40% women, yet of all lawyers, women only represent 31%. With the federal election around the corner, I always vote for the minority, the women, the gays, the lesbians, and the transsexuals. Some people say that you should vote for the best candidate because affirmative action doesn't necessarily mean you get the best candidate. I say that affirmative action is at least opening doors and laying the steps to encourage a group of people who might not otherwise step up to bat. Who knows if they're the best or not, but at least they stood up and put themselves out there. I hope that they are the best, then they'll be an inspiration to other women in LGBTQ. But if they're not the best, then I hope that other women in LGBTQ will say, hey, I can do better than that, and be inspired to run. My female friends said the gay rights have changed faster because even though they're gay, they're still men and they know how to work the system. Well, if that's the case, then gay men have an obligation to help women who have supported the LGBTQ community when we were on the road to equal rights. No one is equal until we are all equal.
Thanks, Fred. As Dan says, our next story, Logan takes us to the Reverb reading series.
Enjoy. I'm Logan Alexander, and we're here with Outlook TV at the Gallery Gachet in Vancouver, British Columbia to check out Reverb, Vancouver's only queer anti-oppressive literary reading series.
It's a queer reading series that Esther and I started 3 years ago, now 2.5 years ago, in response to some experiences we were having about exclusion of queer writing in mainstream literary spaces, particularly around the exclusion of queer and trans writers of color, and a space that we've created in partnership with Gallery Gachet in the downtown east side to work around issues of accessibility and literary work in the queer community.
I have never ever read in a space where safety was an intentional thing, you know, to provide ASL interpretation for all the performers and to have performers really take into their own accountability and responsibility to be leaders within a performative space.
And as the time progresses, we'll see how it browns.
It really is the venue that has made queerness an accessible and open venue for so many of us who are silenced and marginalized because of our queer and racialized identities. You know, I think we're all learning through this process.
I'm the type of writer who gets incredibly nervous before presenting work to an audience. My work's very vulnerable. I talk a lot about being queer, of course, but also a survivor. And this is the right room for it. This is the right audience to tell those kind of vulnerable stories to. And I always walk into the room, you know, feel really held, feel really safe and witnessed. And when I was a reader, I just had that nice
sigh of relief after I was finished reading. Like, I did it, people heard it, and it's okay. It's a welcome space for that kind of story. I would highly recommend reading at Reverb, even if you're a brand new author. It is such a welcoming space. You're going to get big cheers. You're going to get loved up by this audience. I haven't had like a friendlier, more welcoming audience to read in front of.
That says a lot. That's really cool.
In this next story, we send a reporter out into the field.
But not alone, we send a camera person and a camera assist as well.
From the Greeks to gay marriage, men have found creative and complex ways to love each other.
We're guests on set of the MFL series. Let's go check them out.
But not polyamorous at all, until Michael came along.
In 2011, the Health Initiative for Men conducted a community consultation, and during that consultation we found that most gay men have some online presence, whether or not it's finding a partner or finding gay health information. People spend a lot of time online, particularly gay men. So when we were designing the MFL series, we really wanted something that would engage gay men where they are. That's an important part of the work we do at Health Initiative for Men. The ideas behind MFL were really to discuss what might otherwise be a taboo subject. So drug use in the community, group sex in the community, non-monogamous relationships. And we wanted to create a space where we could have that dialogue and really discuss those issues in a way that was culturally appropriate for gay men, but also accessible.
I know they have computers at the bathhouse and people are always on like
Oh,
certain
really?
sites and
Okay.
stuff. So if you post something live, the chances are someone at the bathhouse might read it.
We know we had a loyal viewership of about 1,500 gay men in Vancouver who were watching the series regularly. And of course, our analytics tell us that we've had viewers as far as Australia and Israel. So this series has spread.
My gay image of a sex party is like someone hosts at their apartment and invites like top, bottoms, versus guys.
I knew the guys at the table when we were answering the questions, so it just felt like a regular night out with some drinks and gossiping and chatting about anything that sort of comes up. So it wasn't really acting, it was sort of, we were posed these questions and sort of answered with our gut response.
I did the illustrations, and then someone else made them move and sort of designed the sort of look and the speed at which they came across the screen. And we decided together that it was probably best to go for sort of a clean look.
I think people with an outgoing personality are more attracted to group sex.
Initially, we did a call to have people sort of share their stories with us because we wanted to capture, you know, a diverse set of experiences. But because of the nature of their stories, and we wanted people to sort of not hold back, we ensured their anonymity. So they told their stories and were silhouetted. And then we had volunteers and models and people reenact it so that in ensuring their anonymity, we sort of got all the juicy details.
The background acting was fun. It was nice to, it was sort of a low pressure role to just sort of be in the background and not have the focus completely be on you. So that was a fun part of it.
Watch the MFL web series at www.checkhimout.ca. This is Garrett CJE for Outlook TV.
It's time again for us to take just a little break.
But stick around because we've got many more queer stories.
Welcome back. You're watching Outlook TV.
And no Outlook TV episode would be complete without some drag coverage.
Yeah, how about we go to Main Street for the drag ball?
Keenan brings us there.
Hi everybody, I'm Keenan Schnorr and I'm here at the Main Streeters Drag Ball for a night of glitz, glamour, and amazing visuals. Let's take a look around and see what people are up to. What does it mean to be a Main Streeter?
You know, for the bunch of us Main Streeters, you know, we grew up in East Van, you know, on Main Street, and we're proud of it. We were so, I mean, it's unusual to have a group of a dozen people. Some who went to grade school together, some who went to high school together, all living within 10 blocks of each other, evolved as an art gang. and we became known as the Main Streeters.
Now, this is my first drag ball ever. Could you tell me a little bit about what I'm going to be expecting to see tonight?
Well, you know, what you're really expecting to see is just a bunch of other people who've come together to have some fun, dress up for the first time, crossing over for the first time, or those are people who live their daily lives as males and females' bodies, or the other way around. We're going to have some performances and some awards. We're going to acknowledge a few people from the community to thank them for having made this a better world.
Now, you're the original Main Street.
Well, I was the first one to live at 4196 Main Street, the famous Main Street. So, yeah, I was the first one.
What you have on tonight?
I'm a pirate. These are actually my daughter's belly dancing pants.
Okay.
Right, she's a belly dancer, right? And she actually put all of this together. She's far more talented than I am, right? So, yeah, she'll be performing tonight. She dressed me, she dressed her boyfriend. We had a lot of fun, like we always do, and it's so nice to see a great turnout of people.
I'll be second up, and I'll be doing a belly dance lip sync kind of thing to a very punky Hive song.
I'm intrigued. We're going to be front row just watching you. So put on a good show.
I will. I'll have to now.
No pressure. My feet are barking, and I'm going to go home, and we're just going to marinate these in a nice warm bath, because I want to be here next year. So I'm Keenan Schnorr signing out. Have a nice night. Bye.
Our next story takes us to Vancouver. And no, I didn't mispronounce that. Vancouver is the Vancouver Furry Convention.
Sounds right up my alley.
Hey there, I'm Logan Alexander, and we're here in Burnaby, British Columbia to check out Vancouver 2015.
The furry fandom, your identity is your furry character, like your animal, and it's called a fursona, like a play on the word persona. We're very clever. And basically to identify each other at our conventions, like we know ourselves by the animal, not the person. So we wear essentially illustrated name tags called badges. And you know, artists like me get paid a decent amount of money to make these badges for people. They're little wearable pieces of identifiable art. It's fun. It's good times. We're not as weird as you think we are, I promise. We're just a bunch of geeky folks getting together and dressing up like fuzzy animals.
Can you tell us a little bit about what we can expect from the parade?
You can expect some really, really fantastic things from our fursuit parade. You can expect a lot of color, probably a lot of movement.
It can mean a lot of things to a lot of different people, but it's a kind of fun outlet of creativity and energy, and it's a way to go on holiday and meet up with friends. These things are a blast, and I'd recommend checking it out.
What does being a furry mean to you?
Whole lot of freedom, and number one, the party.
I have seen people come into the furry community and have their lives improve because they have found a group of people who accept them just for who they are.
If you want to join, just come on join. We're a very open group, and anything you want. I mean, we're very open people and just generally accepting of everything. So, yeah.
Awesome. Thanks a lot.
All right, we're done. No, we're not. Well done. All give yourselves a round of applause. Thank you.
Unfortunately, that is all the time we have for this second March episode of Outlook TV.
And fortunately, April is right around the corner, and we are hard at work on bringing you some wonderful queer stories.
In the meantime, why don't you join us as a volunteer? You could film stuff, edit stuff, report on stuff.
We're looking for volunteers from all over the country to share queer stories with the rest of the country.
And you can like us on Facebook, watch us on YouTube, follow us on Twitter, all that stuff.
For Outlook TV, I'm Dan Doomshaw.
And I'm Rebecca Wyman.
Stay fabulous, Canada.